The biggest fight of this year is upon us. Happening in Las Vegas, Nevada, Crawford is taking on Canelo for one of the biggest fights of this century. What is up, Yarka Nation? Welcome back to another video, another banger video, obviously. Today we're going to be talking about Canelo versus Crawford, probably the biggest fight of boxing this year, one of the biggest fights of this century. These are two big names, two superstars in boxing. Canelo is pretty much the face of boxing right now. Crawford is one of the pound for pound best fighters on earth right now, and this fight has everyone split. Everyone's on the edge of their seats for this. It's almost unbelievable that we're actually having it. Only a year ago or a couple of months ago, it seemed like this would never happen. You know, you'd had people interviewing Canelo asking about the Crawford fight, and he kind of brushed it off, said that Crawford was too small. Crawford would say he's down for the fight, but all seemed really unrealistic. But then, you know, our GOAT, Turki Al-Sheikh, he comes in and saves the day as always. This weekend on Saturday, live in Las Vegas. I wish I could have gone to that, but bro, like, you know how expensive that would be? One day though, I'll be fighting in there, but talk about watching the fight, it would be sick. Now, let's talk about the tail of the tape. Canelo has been criticized for his age and getting slower. He's 35 years old, but a lot of people don't even know this. Crawford is 37, turning 38 pretty soon, end of this month. So they're both towards the end of their career. However, I'd say a lot of people think Crawford looks really fresh right now, especially after beating Errol Spence like 2 years ago, and he's been having pretty impressive performances. But let's start off with Canelo. Both these guys are fighting at 168. Crawford is jumping up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo at 168. For all the belts, this is an undisputed fight. Now, a lot of people are really split about this fight. A lot of people keep on changing their predictions, me included. You know, I kept on changing my prediction every time like someone would ask me, I'd say Crawford and then I'd say Canelo. But now I do have a proper prediction. You guys are going to find out by the end of this video. But let's start off with Canelo. Canelo is fighting at 168. He's been fighting there for many years. He has definitely way more experience than Crawford in general, let alone at 168. This is going to be Crawford's debut at 168. Crawford is jumping up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo at 168. So we got to keep that in mind. Canelo definitely has the bigger names on his resume. I'm not going to critique Crawford's resume right now, but we're going to talk about that in a bit. But Canelo definitely has the more accomplished resume. He's pretty much fought everyone. I mean, starting off from Floyd when he was a kid, he did lose to Floyd, but he did fight Floyd. And then his most notable wins, such as Triple G, Bivol.
Are you sure about that? Look at him go!
Shane Mosley, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, you name it. Canelo has pretty much fought everyone. He only has 2 losses on his record, that being to Floyd when he was pretty young, and to Bivol when he moved up to fight Bivol. So in general, Canelo is definitely the more seasoned fighter. He's been professional for a lot longer. Despite him being younger than Crawford, he's definitely accomplished a lot more. What are some of Canelo's best things? We all know Canelo fights, how he fights. He's a pretty stocky fighter. He likes to walk people down, start landing big shots on them. His biggest attribute, in my opinion, is his body shots, which could play a very big factor in this fight. Canelo obviously has never been dropped, never even been rocked. People say he has the best chin of all time in boxing, or one of the best, and you can't really disagree with that. You've seen videos of him eating shots from Triple G and taking shots from everyone. He's pretty much like a tank, you know. He's more tank than like Gervonta Davis. Now moving on to Crawford. Crawford is 37, but people really don't talk about his age at all, because people are really impressed with his last couple of performances, minus his last fight with Israel Majimov, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Crawford is undefeated, 41-0. His most notable win is against Errol Spence Jr. Now, a lot of people say that's his only big win. I don't think that's the case. I think he is a very good fighter. I think he deserves to be where he is. A lot of people, his biggest attribute, a lot of people will say, is his dog mentality. You know, he's really in there to fight, and his ring IQ. You know, he's kind of like a brawler, but a very skilled brawler. So he has that part of boxing, and then he also has the boxing part of boxing. You know, he has the ring IQ, he has the skills to pay the bills. So a lot of people are putting that over Canelo. They think that Crawford has the better ring IQ, the better skills to win the fight. They just think that he's coming in to win and that they can't really put him off. Now let's talk about some of the cons that I see personally. Canelo hasn't looked extremely good recently. His past 5 or 6 fights haven't been by stoppages, they've all been by decision. He is 35 years old. People are saying he's pretty much past his prime, and that they don't think he's as fast or as strong as he was before. You see in the William Skull fight, a lot of people criticized him. Side note, like, William Skull was literally running the whole fight. How much could Canelo have done? But then people are like, Canelo 10 years ago probably would have done more. So I guess you could say his age does play a factor. He did have that Munguia fight. People weren't too impressed with that. Same with the Berlanga and Jermel Charlo fight. And then the one that stood out to me the most was the John Ryder fight. I remember watching that, and I remember everyone saying, yo, who is this? This isn't the Canelo that we used to watch. It was kind of like people were saying it was a boring fight, and that he should have got that guy way out of there. So what we can say is his last couple of fights, he hasn't been fighting people that are on the caliber that he's on. Obviously, these guys are still world level fighters. You know, the haters will like to say otherwise, but these guys are world level fighters. But he hasn't been testing himself how people want him to be tested. The main thing is, to be honest, a lot of people aren't talking about this right now, but David Benavidez, he did avoid him. He literally just said it. I'm not one to say say he's ducking or whatever, because who am I to say that? And who is everyone else to say that to Canelo? He's a world-class fighter. He's accomplished everything that needs to be accomplished. But he has been avoiding David Benavidez. You can't say he's scared, but that's the fight that everyone wanted to see. So now he is fighting Crawford. That's one of the main criticisms, is you haven't fought anyone of a David Benavidez level in the past couple of years. And with those guys, you didn't look too sharp. You didn't look too strong. You didn't look too fast. You know, you didn't look like the Canelo that people knew you for. Now moving on to Terence Crawford cons. Crawford is moving 2 weight classes. People don't understand how big that is in boxing, you know, especially at the pro level. And now people say 2 weight classes. They don't realize it isn't really 2 weight classes. He's pretty much moving 3 weight classes. His last fight was at 154 with Israel Madrimov. And before that, he fought at 147. So he had 1 fight at 154. And a lot of people criticized that fight. They said it was a good performance. I thought it was a good performance. But the main criticism was he doesn't look as fast or as strong. You know, he couldn't really push back Israel Madrimov. He had to box him, and he did show his boxing ability, but he really couldn't give Israel Madrimov something to fear. It was a good fight. It wasn't like a one-sided beating like the Errol Spence fight. So that's something to really keep in mind. A lot of people say, well, I'm not going to count out Bud or whatever, but you have to look at the facts. There's weight classes for a reason in boxing, and moving up 2 weight classes into Canelo's weight, where Canelo has been fighting for like, what, 20 years? He's been fighting at that weight, or like 15 years probably. That's a big deal. Another thing that I see in Terence Crawford is he has a tendency to brawl with people. Obviously, like we said, this guy's a world level fighter. When I say brawl, I don't mean like anything stupid, but he does kind of like to fight in there as opposed to boxing. He does like to fight, especially on the inside, and he does get caught sometimes. There's a lot of clips of him getting caught. There's been clips of him getting rocked sometimes, and I don't know if that's a good idea with Canelo, because Canelo, like we said earlier, he's a very great body puncher, and I feel like it just takes one with Canelo, you know, one properly placed liver shot and he's gone. Terence Crawford has been kind of looking a little bit bigger, and then there's a lot of people like kind of laughing on social media because they see like a one fat picture of Terence Crawford. I don't really think that means anything. That's probably like an old picture, but even then, my point is Terence Crawford is moving up. He does look like he's adjusted to that weight, but it's different when you're fighting there for the first time ever, you know, jumping 2 weight classes. Like I said earlier, pretty much 3 weight classes, and you're fighting there is different than just being built there and looking strong. You know, that doesn't really mean that much. I think Canelo will definitely be stronger. I do not think Terence Crawford can push back Canelo at all, which leads me to my prediction for now. I just see this fight. I definitely think it's going to be a good fight. A lot of my friends are leaning towards Crawford. Everyone that I talk to is like, we're betting on Bud, and a lot of people are saying Canelo's been looking slow. It's kind of like the whole storyline is that it's Crawford's moment, which I get, but I think people are really putting off Canelo. I feel like he's such a regular name that we all know. Everyone knows Canelo, and they know him in boxing, and they've kind of got used to him having these regular decision fights, so they kind of just see him as the face of boxing, but they forget how good he really is. I really think people are putting him off. I feel like he's a lot bigger of a threat than everyone's saying in their predictions. I feel like Canelo can do a lot more. Another thing that I wanted to say is these fighters, they kind of not rise to the occasion, but when they're fighting someone like a John Ryder or a William Skull who's kind of running away, it's a lot different than fighting someone who you have to really be sharp with. You know, you can't really make mistakes with Terence Crawford. I feel like this is going to bring out one of the best Canelos that we've seen, especially for this last couple years, and I honestly think Canelo's going to get it done. How do I think he's going to get it done? I honestly see a stoppage coming. With Terence Crawford's fighting style, I really feel like it could be a late stoppage, mid-fight stoppage, decision maybe, but I just don't see Terence Crawford winning this fight. People say he can outbox Canelo. I could see Crawford like outboxing Canelo, but he's gonna have to be so sharp in there. I don't know, man. I'm leaning towards Canelo. Obviously, I kept on switching my predictions, but for now, I think I'm gonna go Canelo late stoppage. I know I might have some Bud fanboys like coming at me, but honestly, I do like Terence Crawford. I really do like him. I wouldn't say I'm rooting for him. I kind of do like Canelo, but I think it's gonna be a great fight. One of the best fights of the last 5-10 years. It's gonna be a great fight. Honestly, I got Canelo, like I said. Let me know what you guys think down below, though. What do you think? Who do you think is gonna win? Crawford, Canelo? If you think my prediction is wrong, tell me why. And yeah, let's see who gets the closest prediction. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like as always. Subscribe. Peace out, Yarka Nation.